NAFI would like to thank both AOPA and Avemco for their generous support in sponsoring this episode of More Right Rudder. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the More Right Rudder podcast. My name is Sarah Stout. I'm the Program Development Manager here at NAFI, the National Association of Flight Instructors. Joining us today is Adriana. She's the co-founder of a company called ORKA, ORKA, which is an online learning platform designed for individual flight instructors. She's a CFI specializing in tailwheel instruction, and that instruction is what inspired her to build her software platform. Welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me in the podcast, Sarah.
Yeah, we're excited you're here, and we wanted to meet on the podcast because you reached out to NAFI with some really cool ideas on ways and information that flight instructors can use to really help build their business and their brand. Because like a lot of flight instructors, if you're working for a flight school, you don't really have to worry about that. But we do have a lot of independent flight instructors or people who go on to professional flying careers and then decide they want to instruct on the side. And now they no longer have that structure of a whole brick and mortar school or something like that. So they need support for a variety of those tasks. And let's start with the first thing a flight instructor would have to do, which is defining their scope of service. So what tips and techniques do you have to share for that?
Well, students want to know why choose you. And when when students choose you is because you are making a promise to help them achieve specific goals or get specific knowledge and skills, right? The for a scope, um, I think of a scope as the need to deliver the promise and making a plan to deliver on that promise. So this could be in instruction and teaching, speaking. This will be the combination of classes, curriculum, syllabus, all that combination of exercises that are going to allow you to deliver on your promise. You can think of these as a contract too, that will allow students to respect you, and it will also allow you to respect your students. And the thoughtfulness at this level, from a business standpoint, it is this scope that allows you to define how are you going to schedule, how are you going to collect payments, and most importantly, using your time efficiently so that you don't end up wasting a bunch of time and effort as you go into this relationship.
Yeah, so it's important to kind of establish that two-way street right off the bat. So your student or customer understands what they're getting into, and conversely, you understand what they want, and to
Yeah,
make sure that it is a good match for everyone all around.
yeah, I love how you say that. Yeah, exactly. And that what it now comes to mind that in yes, you want to make sure that you are the right person to help the student, and and that's what the student is also looking to find. At the end of the day, they have a goal, and they need someone to help them get there. And yes, you can be an example that I like is you can bring the best meal to the table, but if say you are you go out for dinner and you really want fish, but now you have in front of you, you can have the best meal or steak in the table, but if you really wanted fish, there is a disconnect. And if we can communicate from the beginning exactly what we offer, how we offer it, and why we do it that way, it it allows everyone to be on the same uh, on alignment, and just knowing that yes, this will work for me, or actually it won't. It's or actually it won't work. It may be you may be offering a great service, but it won't work for me, not today.
Right. So it gets everyone with a shared understanding because we don't want to waste anybody's time here. It's flight instruction and flight training in general are so expensive. So it's really in everyone's best interest to make sure that we're all on the same page and that, with your analogy, you're serving the dish I want before we really jump into the curriculum and content and learning and making sure that we're all getting what we want, and avoiding any of those deal breakers. Perhaps that's cost or availability or
Yeah, right.
whatever
Yes,
that may
right.
be. Um, So you also have in here to recommend to your potential customers that they establish a recommended training pace up front. So how
Mhm.
frequently you're expecting them. Because I've done a little bit of independent instruction or worked with aircraft owners who use their aircraft either for usually a mix of personal flying or, going
Mhm.
to visit customers or so for their own businesses. And they like to say that they're available so much, but that's not always the case. So what's the value add in establishing that training pace?
Well, so if in a nutshell, if students can't stick to the recommended pace, they are not going to be making progress towards the specific goals that you are setting up front, and the way you are setting those goals, or the way you make your promise, right? Is this going to be a short course? Is this going to take 6 months, etc.? If you are defining a, a time frame for your course, some people have these accelerated courses. Some people will have uh, students fly into their town to train with them, and and our more common courses are going to span throughout several months for our initial pilots. So if we think about the goal that we are the promise we are making, we we know everybody wants to make progress. Students want to make progress, and we want to help the students make progress. Knowing the goal allows you to know how frequently you need to work together. You already know this. You already know the ideal training frequency for you to make progress towards the goals. And what recommended, this space is for me is giving is as a personal trainer, I want to be that accountability partner to tell my student, hey, this is our goal. and we're going to get there. And this is how we're going to get there. We need to train twice a week, and we're going to be completing two classes every week.
Mhm.
And it is going to take us about 6 months, 7 months, 8 months to complete this. Or hey, we're going to be training every day, and we are going to take to be training um, for 3, 4 days, 5 days in a row. And this is how the road looks like. So just think, once you if you think about the student, once they start, how often do you need to train to get to the goal, and in the context of your promise? And I think for this, is the biggest aspect is for students to understand that I um, I trust this person in their ability to transform my skill, my knowledge. I understand I need to put in the work. And sitting in front of their calendar and literally thinking about, I need to open time on my calendar and free myself from all these other things in my life, because this is important to me. And if I need to open time in my calendar twice a week, I need to find a way to do that. And I need to make sure that for 6 months, I will have that space to train with my instructor. So marking your calendar is a very, very powerful action of committing to something that you want, to a new goal. It's like writing something down on paper.
Right. So yeah, for, these when you're working as an independent instructor, that might mean, having them, pull up the calendar on their phone and doing it right then, because that's what I do. I'm I'm guilty of standing at, every doctor's office checkout desk, putting the next one in my phone as we book it, or whatever the appointment may be. And especially if you're working, independently outside of the context of a flight school or with those aircraft owners, where you're not bound by a scheduling system because you're not sharing the aircraft with, a flight school and all their other customers and instructors. So yeah, that's a really great idea. Get them to put pen to paper, whether literally or virtually, and put it on their calendar, because they'll have a lot harder time canceling it than scheduling it.
Right, right.
Not that
Yeah.
canceling necessarily gives people heartburn, but it's a touch point.
Yeah, well, you are like setting the commitment that you are now dedicating your time, part of your time, and your days to flight training. And if yeah, we know weather happens, things, sometimes the aircraft has to go to maintenance,
Mhm.
we may not feel well, but if it is in your calendar already, it is a very powerful thing. We can always maneuver through life, some of the challenges that we may have, um, that pop up unexpectedly, and weather, of course. But if it is if it is already, if it is set up front, it is creating the space to do the work.
Mhm. Yeah, so that's excellent advice. So the other part that we wanted to talk about today was articulating your value,
Yeah, I
because
love
it
this.
can
I
be
love this part.
yeah,
Yeah,
it can be sometimes uncomfortable, like
it's
when someone
hard.
goes to a flight school, like, okay, they expect that they're purchasing a service. There's going to be probably a little pamphlet or a flyer or something with, here's the aircraft rates, here's the instructor rates. Like, if you get it. As an independent instructor, how do I, one, establish my value? And two, communicate that. It can be kind of awkward for people to say, well, I'm here. I love teaching. I'm happy to help you, but also it's X number of dollars per hour.
Yes, right. Yes. Well, I love this aspect because communication is so powerful. And what I have learned is that uh, one of the things that can prevent us from succeeding is our ability to communicate, to articulate what we our value, and being visible and being able to express that. Um, so what I like is thinking to I like to go through a brainstorming exercise to get to to the to the
Mhm.
result that we want. And for the brainstorming exercise, you can suppose a student trains with you, but what you want to ask yourself is, so what specific problems are you helping them overcome? What results are you helping them achieve? The learning outcomes, right? Or what specific knowledge and the skills are you transferring? So by the end of your training, so what is the student going to be able to do? So thinking about the transformation that the student goes through as they go through your training, and then looking at them at the end and answering, so what? Now you can do this. Now you have these privileges. Now just look at you. I'm so proud of you, right? So something that I like about this exercise is that it allows you to really be in the shoes of the student that has a dream, a goal, and that needs your guidance. And it also allows you to just put aviation jargon out and really focus on what are you enabling the student to do. So once you identify this, what is all about the student, now you will want to move from the brainstorming where you have all these ideas and you can, it can be messy, have fun. You can just write down. You can grab all these ideas that float into your mind when you ask yourself. Just keep asking yourself, so what? Why would they choose me? Um, then the next exercise will be to find a way to articulate that in and put that in a short. You can think of that as a tagline that you can use when someone asks, what do you do, or what do you teach, right? Or how can you help me? You can narrow all those thoughts down into one tagline that can be short and can answer the question, so what? And a prompt that I really like to 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 come up with these taglines is answering the question, imagine your student could do what, right? Or imagine you could do what. So an example of this could be get your tailwheel endorsement. So imagine you could get your tailwheel endorsement, or imagine you could finish your private pilot certificate, or imagine you could prep for your check ride. And if you can narrow it down to that short tagline, it allows you to start a conversation. But before you can build this tagline, you will want to really understand what you are enabling your students to do. So it's like the so what is a revealing question. You can just keep asking yourself, and eventually you will be able to discover what is unique about you, that, why would they choose you
Mhm.
over anybody else.
All right. And so once you've defined your value for yourself, I love the so what exercises. Those are always fun and get you digging pretty deep. Uh, then you have to articulate that value. So you mentioned your tagline, but you also suggest using visuals or other types of media to help articulate that value and show that you are, kind of delivering on that promise of, I can teach you this.
Yeah. and and like living now in a digital world where a lot of us work from home and commute less, or we don't really like to use our cars if we don't need to. And even with restricted airport access, like the more I have been in aviation, the more gates I see constructed around airports. Visuals are a pathway to engage. And this is not about like aiming for looks, or like, what visuals are going to attract people. It's not aiming for likes or looks, but it's about sincerity, and I think it's about showing your passion, and your unique personality. The So, like with these visuals and tagline, so the tagline, all the things we can explain verbally are great, but the visuals, um if you think about making a first impression that reveals a lot of who you are, what you can offer to the world, the visuals and the tagline together are a powerful combination to create that first impression. And that can become a sign, just a sign, like a flag, like a waving flag, to tell students, come this way, this is the right way, or this is not or this is the wrong way. The wrong way for you, or this way if this is for you. And it starts the it's overall a great way to identify if they should inquire further, or if it is not going to work. But uh, but I think more importantly is being able to create a bridge for people to not only learn about aviation and how it works, but also to um, to learn about you and what you have to offer. And I mean, I think I keep thinking about the gates that they just built around my local airport. It has even nobody can get in the airport. It's a public airport, but you need an access code to drive into the airport. It's impossible for someone to get to hangars, to talk to aviation people, unless you know someone that is inside.
Hmm.
There is no way you can get inside. And this is a powerful aspect of making that engagement in a digital format. So when I pick I'm picking pictures, or I am helping instructors, um, I showcase their value. I I try to um, to think about um, a student driving into the airport, or a student driving to meet you. If you don't teach at the airport, if you teach online, even if you meet online, what images do you see? Like, do you want to be able to create that um, airport-like experience, or if they are meeting online with you, almost bring them in as to, hey, this is how it will be like. Come on in and shadow this class. You If you have visuals that clearly show what you help students achieve, maybe if you have already helped students, it's great to show their success. Or if you haven't helped any students, this could be you doing the thing that you are helping them achieve. I like including some brief videos for my tailwheel endorsement. I like to include a few brief videos of a forward slip or a wheel landing or a 3-point landing to show that, hey, you are going to be able to do this
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the course. So it's in a way um, uh, having a look at, in what are you getting into and with whom, and the entire and just having that experience in a digital format where you can get to learn about the instructor and how their unique personality and what they have to offer. And so the idea in a way here is to translate all that, everything we know we can communicate verbally. The idea about using these visuals, video, all whatever media you decide to use, the idea is to communicate the same content, but now through visuals.
Right. Visuals are such a powerful medium for so many, and especially pilots. We stress so much, look out the window and look at this, look at that. It is a
Yeah,
very powerful tool. So if you can leverage that to your advantage for attracting customers, retaining customers, helping them learn, and even then they might help spread the word about you to their buddies. Because like you said, the airport fence is intimidating and it's not, unfortunately, very welcoming.
yeah,
And when people just drive around in it, they're these massive, uh, gosh, 10-foot fences, taller than that, maybe. I don't
yeah,
know. And yeah, so they're a great visual bridge to bring people, virtually inside the gate, and then, probably, hopefully, ultimately, and physically invite them inside the gate
yeah.
to get them flying. All right. Well, Adriana, thanks so much for sharing all that with us today. The last thing I wanted to touch on was the name of your business, ORKA, ORKA, so not like the whale. ORKA is a Swedish word, and could you share the meaning of that word and why you selected that for a flight instruction platform?
Yes. Well, it means to have the energy and strength to do something, to have the willingness to do something very, very well, to the kind of energy that allows you to execute with gusto. And as you can now imagine, I fell in love with the word because it describes the kind of instructors, the creative instructors that are that are so capable. They are creating all these curriculum, syllabus, lesson plans. They have this motivation to be teaching, maybe even create their own business. It makes them different, and it shows not only that, but also how aviation allows them to experience this motivation to keep showing up and 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 having that, just how aviation makes us feel in general. being able to experience that vitality and sharing that with others. Um, and in another side of the story, for all of us who have lost some of that strength or all of that strength, it's a word to to say, hey, you can get that back. And there is is you can get that vitality again, you can feel that way again. Just surround yourself with the right people.
All right, sounds great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, it's such a cool word and a lot of fun meaning behind it. Well, thanks so much for your time today. We'll be sure to put a link in the show notes to your platform, FlyOrka, FLYORKA.com. And we appreciate you taking the time to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure talking with you, Sarah. We can we can do it again anytime.
All right, thank you. Thanks again to the sponsors of this episode of More Right Rudder, AOPA, and Avemco. Be sure to check the show notes for links to both of their websites and see all that they have to offer the flight instructor community. Listeners to the More Right Rudder podcast can get $10 off their NAFI membership. Use the code POD49, POD49, at checkout at nafinet.org. This code is good for both new and renewal memberships.